Well, hey everyone, this is Sean with Truss Services, and you are about to watch a video of a timber frame cedar pavilion being built from start to finish. So here we go. We are on day one, and we have to clean up some flower bed areas. There were some large bushes growing right next to the external garage, and we're going to build the cedar pavilion about 6 feet from the external garage. So we had to excavate that area, of course, just to get started on day one here. We brought Paul in with his stump grinder to take care of just some large stumps and roots, just to clean the area up really nice. And here we go with the excavation. We have to dig down about 4 or 5, 6 inches in some areas. We're not putting a concrete pad down, we're putting in crushed limestone and just making kind of a normal kind of country pad. Looks really good at the end though. And as we're going through the video, please like and subscribe, but also comment if you have any questions as we talk about the equipment we used and what type of lumber we use. As you can see right here, we are using a compact tractor. It's a great tractor, Coyote, CK2610. And here we are with our crushed limestone, same type of limestone you'd use, like a CR610 crushed limestone, and 2 trucks, 23 tons each. And here we go, we're going to start to spread it out. And I'm not saying I'm the best at using the tractor, but I did have to get good at using the floating feature on most compact tractors. But the floating feature to allow your bucket to just be like a dead weight in the front, and just take some time and patience, and you can get it about where you need to get it. Now you're going to see here in a minute as we bring in the lumber that we have to dig 6 holes to put the very large cedar posts in. So right now we're measuring and making sure everything is square, that we have our distance correctly from the external garage. We had an auger from Harbor Freight, actually worked out pretty well, but the auger bit only goes 8 inches wide, so we ended up needing to dig these holes 24 inches wide by close to 30 inches deep. We're putting just some medium gravel here, just so there's a delineation between the parking pad that's underneath the cedar pavilion, and it's a good drainage area too, to have medium gravel. It allows water to flow through it, and there's a lot of water that runs off of that driveway, and so we wanted to give it a path to go. So that's why you see that brown, regular washed gravel over there. And then these are the massive rough cut cedar pavilion posts that we're using. These are 8-inch by 8-inch posts, and they are rough cut, and they are 16 feet tall. They have to go down into the ground 2.5 to 3 feet, and our structure is 30 feet deep or long by 18 feet wide from the roof line. From outside post to outside post, it is 16 feet wide by 28 feet long. And so here we are with the first 2 posts, making sure we get them level into the ground. Takes a long time to do it, and to do it right. And we have 3 of them in the ground now, and we are, you'll see in a minute, we put these post savers around each post. Even though cedar is resistant to rot, and a lot of this is under roof, being that there's going to be a roof for the pavilion, a metal roof, we still put these special post savers. We're putting them on right now, you can see, and it's a rubbery, maybe polyurethane type of material that you heat on, and it really just ensures your posts will last 50, 60 years and longer. We are mixing, get this, up to 165 bags of concrete. So we ended up renting a concrete mixer to help our team out a bit. And yeah, like I said, we learned a lot in this project. Just a lot of efficiencies and how to do things even better next time. So if you have any questions or comments as you're going through this, maybe you're doing a similar structure, maybe it's not cedar, maybe it's treated pine, but you're still doing a timber framed carport or pavilion. And this is used, if you see that boat in the right corner or the right side of the screen, the reason why the homeowner wanted this built was to be able to cover the boat. And here we are cutting the tops off of the cedar post. We do that, of course, so that we have everything level at the top. There's really no way to do it where you do this on the ground initially and make it perfectly level. So we cut all the posts off the top, or the excess off the top, if you will, and make sure everything's level. You'll see that pink line around the whole top part of the structure showing that everything's level. And here Ethan is marking where we're going to notch all these posts. So our header beams and our side large beams that we have, they're actually all going to be notched on here, which really just gives a nice look to the pavilion, and it's a strength feature as well as we put the first side header beam. These are, again, rough cut cedar, 2 inch by 12 or 2 by 12 by 16. We had to cut them down to lengths, but 2 by 12s basically for the side header beams, and 2 of them sandwiched together, if you will, with about 4. There's the second part on the other side, you'll see, and all of our 4 by 6s and some 4 by 4s go in between those header beams that are sandwiched together to make it really strong. You see how they sit right on top of the large 8 inch by 8 inch columns, and so they're notched on there. We use some decorative black lag screws. I believe it was Headlock brand lag screws. And the cool thing is then we notch it again to put the header beams that go across the width. So we notch them once, turn them into a 4 by 8s, the 8 by 8s into 4 by 8s. And then on top of that, for the bottom of our truss and our header beams, you'll see that we notch them again into 4 by 4s. And so it's one complete column where everything is attached to. It gives a lot of strength to the structure. And here we go with the first header beam, or the bottom of the first truss. Now, for those of you who have worked with cedar before, you know that there's a couple pros and a couple cons maybe. One of the cons is that it is almost 3 times as expensive. It's absolutely beautiful. Here we are building some sawhorses to make our job a little easier, and then Ethan is starting to cut our beautiful 4 by 6 braces that go to the columns on each column to connect to the beams, and it just looks great. We're deciding how we're going to put the carriage bolts in and that type of stuff. So cedar is lightweight. I believe it's about half the weight of treated pine, so it's a little safer to work with. And I just don't know that I'd want to build a structure this big that wasn't made out of rough cut cedar. We're continuing to put up the braces and the bottom of the trusses, and we're making it happen here. And we're using the Coyote CK2610 tractor, and we set up a bird's nest on top of that, kind of like a cage, but we just built our own because the metal ones we saw just were not that strong, so we built our own basically wood framed cage to put on the front, and that allowed Ethan to get up there and be in a little bit safer situation with tools and having to get up high to put the final trusses in place and all that. this is a good shot where you can see the top of the truss and how each truss has 2x8s. Those are 2x8s at the top. The bottom of the trusses are 2x10s. Again, all rough cut cedar that we did obtain locally. And being a little goofy, I could have included a lot more of that, but anyways, we had a good time. It was about a 30-day project. We didn't work on it every day, but we had to wait on some material to get on site and certain weather days, etc. But great project overall. Just to give you some more dimensions of the material, the braces that are going in the middle of the truss there that you see that there's 3 of, those are 4x4s, all rough cut cedar. Like I said, the top of, or the rafter part of the trusses, if you will, those are 2x8s. The rafters themselves, when you see us put those on in a minute, are also 2x8s. And all the headers that go across the structure are that sit on top of the 2x12 side beams. Those are all 2x10s. And again, they're all sandwiched together. They have multiple points of connection to make sure they don't warp over time. But yet you see that you can see in between them, and so it just really has a beauty to it, if you will. So we have done 4 out of the 5 trusses, and here we are putting up the 5th and final truss. Also, one other note, that ladder you see us moving around a lot, it's 12 feet tall. It's a Hasegawa tripod ladder. It's about $1,000, but was so needed and so critical during the project. And if you comment on the video, we will do our best to answer any questions if you're doing a similar project. Like I said, we've learned a lot on how to do this even more efficiently, where to get the material. We are putting joist hangers up. I think you've already seen that, where we put joist hangers up between the ridge boards that connect to each truss. We screw them in with very long timber screws as well, but then we also use black decorative joist hangers that you can see in some pictures. And here we are putting up the rafters in between the trusses. And you know, everyone's a process. With rough cut cedar, you do have to measure different areas more often, because you get a little bit different size boards when you're working with rough cut cedar, and so you just simply have to measure more often. But when you're building a pavilion and it's rough cut cedar, there is room for it to look a little natural and maybe not perfect in every single area. Here we are putting in the all thread. It's 1/2 inch all thread and bolts on each side. Looks really nice on those braces below. We use carriage bolts, 1/2 inch carriage bolts on all the braces that connected to the 8x8 inch posts. And yeah, there were several days where we just had to keep going to stay on target. We got the project completely done before Thanksgiving. And we actually have lights in here, and it is powered by solar power. Solar power, marine battery, and a converter, and 3 5,000 lumen shop lights go in here, and it works out really well. We put a switch at the bottom. I don't have any footage of that in this video, but it looks really good. So now we're putting on the roof lathing, or the metal roof is going to connect it to, or the purlins. And again, this is not a kit. This is all custom, a custom cedar timber framed pavilion. We're putting the final purlins on. We ended up using rough cut cedar for the purlins as well. They're all 2x6, and we created a decorative look to the purlins in the front. And then we have this is called burnished slate color for the roof, and it's just a real classy, kind of rich, dark brown color that looks really good. We've got Ethan harnessed in for safety, and we're putting on the final parts of the roof now. Of course, a ridge cap as well, and we're holding a line tight at the bottom to make sure the drip line looks good. And here is the finished product. Again, the boat is meant to go underneath here, and the structure is about 11 feet high on average for ceiling clearance, and that allows for the boat's wakeboard tower to fit underneath there with about close to a foot of clearance. You see the solar panel at the top. And from the inside, you see the solar panel and the battery up there in the ceiling joist just a second ago. And we had a great time on this project. Customer is very happy. Looks absolutely gorgeous. I think every one of our employees wants one for themselves at some point in their life. Thanks for watching, and please comment and subscribe.